Are you doing everything you can to ensure a positive mental health environment for your staff? Would you like to create an environment that promotes positive mental health and mental well-being in the workplace? Did you know that mental health and safety in the workplace is just as important as physical health and safety in the workplace? Join us today for Practice Management Nuggets webinar, Positive Workplace Mental Health, with Robert Manolson. My name is Jean Eaton, your practice management mentor with Information Managers, and your host for this Practice Management Nuggets webinar. In this 30-minute webinar, Robert Manolson of Powerful Play Experiences and a mental health champion will explore positive workplace mental health. Robert Manolson is the creator and facilitator of Powerful Play Experiences and team engagement expert. He's the guy that you call when you need a high-energy, highly creative, and wonderfully experienced facilitator for your event. He very quickly turns a room of the most reserved wildflowers into an engaged and lively group. As Robert shares his energy and passion, he hopes to shatter people's perceptions of what mental health illness looks like, while challenging the stigma that we attach to mental illness. He believes that it's really all about engaging people in meaningful conversations about mental health, both in work and in life. Robert, I'm delighted that you've joined us today, and welcome to Practice Management Nuggets.
It's so awesome to hear from you, Jean, and thank you for this opportunity to have a conversation with both yourself and our wonderful audience listeners around this whole subject of workplace mental health.
Robert, you and I met after I heard about your completing this Canadian Mental Health Association Psychological Health and Safety Advisor training. You call yourself a mental health champion. Robert, what is your story?
That's a great question. That's a great question. You know, my story is at least 4 generations long, in the sense that you know, there exists a number of challenges in my family, so my story is quite personal. And you know, going back at least 2 generations before myself, and now 1 generation ahead of me, mental illness it runs in our family. It's pretty much an illness that, and I manage depression and high anxiety, and so my story is quite personal. The whole idea of mental health, and even not so much just in the workplace, Gene, but mental health in your daily life, is a top priority for me each and every day when I wake up and start my day. So it just makes sense for me to, when I learned of the Canadian Mental Health Association Certified Psychological Health and Safety Advisor training, it just made sense to me on a personal level to take the 2-day training and discover what I can do through my personal experiences in life, as well as with the vast array of resources and the direction and the support of Canadian Mental Health, to walk into workplaces and challenge today's leaders to create a conversation around mental health in the workplace, and what we can do together to facilitate and bring about positive change in today's workplace around the subject of workplace mental health.
So we're going to talk about mental health and mental health in the workplace today, but let's talk about the elephant in the room. So every practice has a pink elephant. It's that problem in your organization that just never quite gets fixed. You create workarounds or promises that you'll get to it someday, or it's that problem that everyone knows that is there and everyone tries to ignore it. Robert, what do you think that healthcare and clinic managers need to know about workplace mental health? What is your number 1 tip?
Well, you know, interesting that you should ask me that. You know, if there's one lesson that I've learned, not only through the 2-day training, the 2-day Psychological Health and Safety Advisor training with Canadian Mental Health Association, if there's one thing that I've learned through the training, through my personal experiences, you know, as both an employee and someone who's been self-employed for the past 12 years, is it's really all about leadership. It's really all about taking a leadership position of responsibility and acknowledging that now is the right time to bring about change and to address the whole subject matter of mental health in the workplace to start today and lead the way.
So let's talk about what exactly is workplace mental health.
I think I'm going to put that question to you, Jean. What's your take on it? What's your take on what is workplace mental health? I'd like to hear your perspective on that.
I think a lot of it, to me, is resiliency. Working in a healthcare environment, we get a lot of people that come to us because they're not well for any number of reasons. They've got the flu, they've got allergies, they've got a chronic illness, or maybe a family member is unwell. And as a staff person working in the clinic, you need to be resilient and be empathetic and understand and listen and not take it all home with you. You don't have to absorb everybody else's problems. And that can make for some really challenging days.
And would you say that workplace mental health is about workplace mental illness, or are they two different subject matters that we're looking at here?
Well, I kind of think that mental health is not necessarily mental illness. It's those tools and resources and strategies that you put in place for yourself that makes it easier to be that good person and to be empathetic and can help other people because you're in a good place?
Yeah, exactly. I love what you just said about helping others because you're in a good place. So workplace mental health, you know, if we were just to look at that three-word phrase, workplace mental health, and just move aside the word workplace and just began to think about mental health, is more of the broad subject matter of mental well-being in the workplace.
So for an organization, Robert, that doesn't have a workplace mental health plan expressed, so there's nothing in writing, we don't have a strategy, we haven't even really talked about it, how do we get started with it? What does it look like to address workplace mental health in our practices?
Okay, and before I get to that, if you don't mind, I just want to throw out a couple of stats, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not a statistician kind of guy, but there's some interesting research and statistics out there, and then we'll get to that question. In going through all my materials and some of the research, two key pieces of information came forward to me that 70% of Canadians are concerned with psychological health and safety in the workplace. And 1 in 5 Canadians will experience a mental health problem or mental illness each year. Now, just those two stats alone suggest that there better be some resources out there that leaders in the workplace can access, and there are. And one of the most significant pieces of information that leaders can access is something called the Standard for Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace. It's a voluntary standard at this point, Jean, which is interesting because there's lots of discussion taking place amongst the professionals and the experts involved in workplace mental health about moving the standard for psychological health and safety in the workplace into the arena of compliance. Right now, it's a voluntary standard, and it's kind of a complex subject, but Canadian Mental Health and other professionals, other organizations across Canada have organized a wonderful piece of information, a wonderful toolkit for organizations large and small to begin to look at and create conversations back at their workplace around psychological health and safety.
So we also have the Learning Resources Guide that our workshop attendees can download. So in that Learning Resources Guide, we'll have the links for all of the resources that Robert is talking about today. So the link will be right there that you can download. So it's interesting that there is a standard, and this is a tool that leaders can use in the workplace to assess their organization and identify where their strengths and the weaknesses are?
Yes, and not only that, but it's adaptable and flexible enough for organizations large and small. And depending on where organizations are in their, in their business practices, you could bite off the whole chunk and address the standards, or you can bite off smaller pieces and just begin the process of working through an organized, systematic plan to implement policies and practices around psychological health and safety in the workplace. And isn't that cool? Like, isn't that really cool? Like, that at your fingertips, there's this wonderful toolkit to guide you through the process. And that's what the advisor training was all about. We walked out of the 2-day training much more informed, much more knowledgeable about how to actually implement the National Standard of Canada for Psychological Health and Safety in the workplace with workplace leaders. So people should never feel like they're alone. They can access the National Standard online. They can contact the Canadian Mental Health Association of Alberta. In fact, they could go right online to their website and find a local certified psychological health and safety advisor in their community. And together, we can start the process. Together, we could take a leadership position of responsibility for change in their workplace. Isn't that cool?
It's very cool. And
very cool.
It's great that there's these resources available. So what would be, Robert, maybe you can help me to understand an organization going through a process, before they've looked at the standards and after they've implemented the standards. What are some examples about things that might happen in the organization that didn't realize it was a problem? They now realize it's a problem, and they've put some resources and some training into place. And what is it that makes it better on the other side?
Yeah, and I really hope that, I'd like to caution our use of language around problem, because the National Standard of Canada for Psychological Health and Safety in the Workplace isn't about acting upon a problem. There are many, many organizations who are already addressing mental health in the workplace, psychological health and safety in the workplace, and I commend them, and I'm excited to meet them. In fact, Alberta Health Services, right here in Alberta, is one of the leaders in addressing and implementing psychological health and safety practices in the workplace. So it's not so much about identifying a problem. It's really about an attitude for change and recognizing that as part of your business practices, as part of your business development, as part of your business reputation, might it be to your business advantage to really take the idea of workplace mental health under your wing and work alongside an advisor to assess what you're doing well at, what might be some of the gaps, what you're prepared to invest in, both in terms of time and people resources, and just make those decisions. And those decisions can be large ones, they can be small ones, but at least you're doing something, you're taking action. I mean, never did we feel that this national standard needs to be adopted because of an existing problem in the workplace. It's very proactive. It's very it's proactive as opposed to reactive, and it really is all about a systematic and organized approach to develop or to sustain a psychologically healthy psychological healthy and safe workplace. And I really like the idea that it is voluntary at this point, because it really challenges people to ask a question. You know, if I took this on, not because it's a compliance, because I have to, but if I took this on because my heart is motivating me to want to do this, you know, that's a whole different, driver, a whole different motivation, you know. But I hope that, you know, today's audience can see the value not only for their business, but for themselves as leaders in the workplace, to really adopt a workplace mental health perspective, you know, in their particular workplace. The 13 factors for psychological health and safety in the workplace.
So the 13 factors include things like organizational culture, psychological and social support, clear leadership and expectations, civility and respect, psychological demands, growth and development, recognition and reward, involvement and influence, workload management, engagement, balance, psychological protection, and the protection of physical safety.
It's kind of a workplace culture. It's setting up working conditions. Healthy and safe workplaces are really a result of the way people interact with one another on a daily basis. You know, the working conditions, our workplace culture, you know, our management practices, you know, the way we make decisions, how these decisions are communicated. So, you know, it's really a way of working together, like a management system that really elevates the value of workplace mental health and puts it as part of the overall business practice.
So as part of managing an effective business and making sure that our workplace is a positive place that we want to go to work, because we spend a lot of time there, we want to make sure that it is a safe place to go and encourages us to continue to grow and gives us some room to grow and develop as individuals and within our professional practice when we are at work.
Exactly. Because January of each year is a significant month around the promotion, the Bell promotion, Bell Let's Talk.
Yes.
On January 31st of this month. And again, it's all about just creating a conversation around mental health, whether that's in work, you know, at home or at play. So, yeah, mental health affects all of us, and, you know, not just those living with and managing mental illness. So it's an interesting time. It's an interesting time for all of us.
So, Robert, today we've talked about the importance of having psychological health and safety in the workplace. And you've given us lots of resources that we can follow up to make sure that we can know what the standards are, that we have some checklists and toolkits that we can make use of. And you've even given us some great resources to be able to access webinars and workshops that we can use within our organization, either as part of your workday or something that somebody is interested in for their own personal growth and development. And we have a lot of those resources in our Learning Resources Guide that you can download from our webinar website right here. Now, Robert, you spend a lot of time in this workspace as well with your business about powerful play experiences. So tell us a little bit about powerful play experiences.
Powerful play experiences, creating engaged teams. Boy, what a journey, what a 12-year journey it's been for me to traveling throughout Alberta, a little bit into Saskatchewan, a little bit into BC, as a workshop facilitator. Fun at Work is a mental health strategy. It's a mental health practice. I'm a workshop facilitator who brings highly engaging, highly active, highly joyful, highly happy workshops to your workplace with the intention of moving teams from where they are to where they need to be. And where they need to be is a much more happier, healthier, positive mental health place with each other. And I'm the go-to guy to kickstart that process with everyone.
And knowing the go-to guy is really important, so we're really happy to know you. Now, you've also got for us a team engagement assessment that people can download. So you can go to the link that's on the slides here and download that team engagement assessment. You enter your name and email address, and Robert will send you an email with that assessment that you can download and use in your organization and learn more about Robert and powerful play experiences.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You bet. And I look forward to hearing from everybody.
Okay. So, Robert, I'm really happy that you were here today. I appreciate the information that you've shared with us. You've given us lots of resources and information about workplace mental health. We've also talked about the key steps to initiate a well-thought-out and organized plan to address mental health in your workplace. And, of course, you've got all of these resources and the team engagement assessment from Robert. Thank you for joining us, Robert, and sharing that information with our team. Okay.
Yeah, and for more, very quickly, for more information, visit www.mentalhealthcommission.ca /national standard. That's a great place to start in terms of becoming informed on the National Standard of Canada for psychological health and safety in the workplace. And very quickly, www.workplacestrategiesformentalhealth.com. That's the great website center for mental health in the workplace. Again, www.workplacestrategiesformentalhealth.com. Another great place to get tons of wonderful free information. And all the other resources, we'll make sure that it's posted in your resource for everybody to get their hands on. So thank you very much, Jean.
Thank you, Robert. And I want to thank you, the audience, for joining us today. I love surrounding myself with practice managers and healthcare providers who want to start, grow, and improve their practices. I want to help you with more great tips, tools, templates, and training that you can use right away. I search for guest experts just like Robert who will share their #1 tip with you. Let me know if there is a topic that you want to know more about. Just send me an email. I'm here to help you. Until next time, I'm Jean Eaton, your practice management mentor with Information Managers.